everybody. In this video, we're going to talk about writing the equation of a quadratic function when you have the x-intercepts. Okay, so before we get to that, I want us to remember how we were solving for the x-intercepts. So let's look at an example of that. Okay, so we know that to find x-intercepts, we need to set y equal to 0. Okay, and then we're going to try factoring. So first, I'm going to factor out the 2. That's my common factor. And then I'm going to factor what's left here. This is the normal, what multiplies to this and adds to that type of factoring. So I'm looking for something that multiplies to -12 and adds to -1. So I think it should be -4 and +3. Okay. Then I'm going to divide that 2 away from both sides. And now I can set each of my factors equal to 0. And I get two solutions, x equals 4 and x equals -3. And each one of them is an x-intercept, right? 4, 0, and -3, 0. Okay? So I want to point out the relationship between the factors, right, x minus 4, the solution, x equals 4, and then my x-intercept, 4, 0, right? And I have that same relationship here, right? X plus 3, x equals -3, and -3, 0, right? We can see that in the factor, the sign is opposite from what we see in the x-intercept, right? And it's because of what we do to solve, right? We subtract 3 from both sides, so we're getting -3 in our x-intercept. Okay, I also want to point out that this 2 that we see at the beginning here, this one, this isn't affecting our x-intercepts at all. Okay, so when we look at writing the equation, we're going to do essentially exactly the opposite of this. We're going to use the x-intercepts to look at what the factors should be, right? But because this 2 doesn't really impact the x-intercepts, we're going to need one more piece of information to find that front number, that a. Okay? So my x-intercepts are 1, 0 and -5, 0. And it goes through to 21. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is know that when I look at my x-intercepts, I'm going to be looking at the factored form. Right? My factored form that looks like y equals a times x minus n times x minus n. really this form that we're looking at right here, okay? And I know that my two factors are going to come directly from my x-intercepts, right? So I'm going to have x minus 1, my first x-intercept, and my second one is going to be x minus negative 5, right? Or x plus 5. So just like we saw over here, right? When the intercept is positive, our factor has minus. When our intercept is negative, our factor has plus, okay? Now, that is all the information that we're getting from our x-intercepts, right? We know that it's going to be easy to write in factored form, and we know what those factors are going to be. Now, what we don't know still is we don't know what our a value is, right? We need to find this a value. So here's where we're going to use our third point. So I'm going to plug this in for x and y, and that should allow me to find a. So 21 equals a times 2 minus 1 times 2 plus 5. Okay, and then I'm going to simplify in my parentheses. So I have 2 minus 1 is 1, 2 plus 5 is 7, right? And this is going to be 7a. Okay, I can divide both sides by 7, and I have my a value is 3. Okay, once I have my a value, I'm ready to write my final answer. My a value is 3, and I already know my factors, x minus 1 and x plus 5. So the x-intercepts give us the factor, and then that third point allows us to find our a value, and this is our final answer here, right? Our quadratic equation, and we have it in factored form. Okay. Let's go ahead and look at another example of this. Actually, I'm going to leave those directions. We're going to use exactly the same process here. Okay, so let's look at a second example of writing the quadratic equation. Okay, so we're going to have our x-intercepts at 2, 0 and negative 4, 0, and our other point (6, negative 40). Okay, so we're going to start again. When we have our x-intercepts, we know we are going to use our factored form. Right, which is y equals a times x minus n times x minus m. Okay, so for us, we don't know what a is, but we do know what the factors are. So from the factor 2, 0, we're getting from the x-intercept 2, 0, we're getting the factor x minus 2. And from the x-intercept negative 4, 0, we are getting the factor x plus 4. Okay. We still need to know what a is, so this is when I'm going to use my second point. So I have x and y, so I have negative 40 equals a times x, I'm plugging in 6, I'm going to simplify inside of the parentheses. So 6 minus 2 is 4. 6 plus 4 is 10. And I have 40a. Divide both sides by 40, and I can see that a is negative 1. Okay. So when I go to write my equation, I'm going to plug in a equals negative 1, and then I still have my factors x minus 2 and x plus 4. Okay. All right. In our next video, we're going to look at the last method for writing a quadratic equation, so I will see you guys there.